Hey guys, Luigi here, and welcome back to another video today. And this video is going to be a bit different from what I normally do. In fact, I have done one of these before, all the way back in 2021, for those that remember that. I know I certainly do. I originally wasn't planning on making this sort of video, since I was planning on saying everything I wanted to say here in the 2023 update, which may or may not still be happening. I'm not 100% certain on that yet. And I did end up recording that yesterday, but the recording for it was less than stellar, so I decided not to go through with it, which is unfortunate. But the latter half of that video was specifically, I was talking about a lot of realizations I was having within the past few months or so, and how that relates to everything I did in the previous year as well as in 2021. But I feel like a lot of that stuff doesn't really have a place in a 2023 update video, so I figured that I might as well just talk about all of that here off the cuff and save all of the other stuff for that video, if it ends up coming out, that is. So that's mainly what I'm going to be focusing on here. Just heads up that this is completely off the cuff, unscripted, and at most I just have a few bullet points on what I want to talk about, and that's kind of it. So I guess I will quickly go into the reasons why the update video didn't really happen, because it relates to some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about later. Put it simply, I have been trying to put that video together for several months now. I've had the skit done for quite a while. The only issue was I couldn't really figure out what topics I wanted to talk about. So by the time I finally decided what I was going to do, we were already like, what, 3 months into the year? And I was like, okay, maybe I'll save it for April and then do it then. And then April came and I still didn't do it. So I decided just out of the blue to try doing it now, or in this case yesterday, whenever this is being recorded. And I just went for it. I was like, there's really no reason to not try at this point. So I just went all out and I tried to record it. And I just didn't get the results I wanted from it. And that's unfortunately a growing pattern that I'm starting to take notice of within like the last few months or so, where I record something and it doesn't turn out that great and thus never happens, which would explain a lot of what's going on now. So that's what I have to say in regards to the update video. Again, it may or may not happen still. I really don't know, but a lot of what I talked about in that video was quite a few realizations, as I stated before, as well as some struggles I was going with. And I already made the promise that I wouldn't be talking about any of this stuff on stream. So I figured if there was any place for me to talk about any of this, it would be now. I might as well just get it out right here. So everyone, so I have all of my thoughts out there, and in a place where you all can just watch and understand clearly, hopefully anyway, and make things a bit easier on myself going forward. Because the fact that I have been putting a lot of this, like all the venting and stuff, and all the complaining in my streams has been something I am not too fond of, and I don't want to continue with that going forward. So this is the place for me to go ahead and talk about everything. So in order to understand where a lot of my realizations have come from, I think it's best to like rewind all the way back to 2021, around the time when I uploaded that Major Changes Are Coming video, which is actually similar to this video, funny enough. And I didn't realize this at the time, but the decisions I ended up making, as well as walking back from that video, kind of changed the way things have gone for over the past year or so. And what I mean by that is, if you don't recall, in that video, I essentially talked about the fact that I was going to push all my non-plush content over to another channel, whereas this channel would only be plush related, and it was a very risky decision that I wasn't 100% certain about making, but I made it because I thought, oh, it would make sense, you know? It would be good for the algorithm. It would finally get YouTube to stop fucking with me, because that was when YouTube was still taking away my views and shit. And I was like, most people really just want to watch the plush videos above everything else anyway, so why not? So I was blinded by how good that sounded in my head that I didn't take the time to realize what that really meant. And it took quite a while before I finally understood how detrimental that was to this channel, even though a lot of people agreed with it. But as I'm going to state later on, getting approval for a decision I made doesn't necessarily make it a good decision. And there are several examples of that, but the most notable one was when I was encouraged to move my reaction videos onto the LUIGICHANNEL 50 Extras account. But I put out that initial video and I let it sit for a few months before I realized by the end of the year that that wasn't the direction I wanted to go in. One, because, I mean, sure, hypothetically, it would have been really good for me to just disregard everything else and work only on the plush stuff. But you need to remember that I'm me, and when it comes to making plush videos, I'm just not super consistent with it. I can do it pretty well, but obviously, as I've made quite a few over the years, but I don't really come up with the ideas fast enough, nor do I film them quickly enough either. So my original idea of doing a plush video once a week going forward fell flat on its face, and I really don't have anyone else to blame other than myself. But I had reasons behind that decision. But once that finally fell through, I decided to go for a different route in 2022, which I discussed in that update video, where I essentially said that I was going to be, and I said this in the 2021 update video as well, but I was going to be adapting my current style, the way my channel currently was, adapting it to the way YouTube was changing, the way the algorithm was changing and everything, in hopes that I could try to just gain a little bit of that viewership I had in 2020. Because I'm not sure you realize this, but prior to 2020, my viewership wasn't like super consistent. Not that it wasn't good for the time, it obviously was, but it wasn't like super consistent in between videos, and my subscriber growth also wasn't like crazy either. So once you hit 2020 and the view counts skyrocket, I start getting tons of videos with over thousands of views, some of them being from 2019, but they exploded that year in particular. It just really changed a lot for me. And because of that, I decided to go in a different direction for 2021 and 2022 as well. Although the direction I wanted to go in for 2021 with that reboot video failed. But with 2022, I didn't even do anything too complex. I just simply wanted to start transforming my content so that it caters more to what the algorithm wants, while also still, to an extent, trying to stay true to what I am and what the channel is, which I don't think I was necessarily successful at. I even got in my head for some fucking reason that hitting 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year would have been possible, which, if I was in the right headspace then, as well as for all these other decisions, I wouldn't have done that. But I did. I ended up setting a 2,000 subscriber goal, and as well as I tried pursuing making my content cater more towards what the algorithm wants. And as a result, things just didn't go the way I planned. Like, I had a vision in my head that by adding one of those subscriber reminder things at the beginning of a video, that hypothetically, if one of those videos were to get 1,000 views, then all the people who would watch those videos would click subscribe, and bam, I would hit 2K. Simple, you know? But then after the fact, like 3 months after I made that decision, I started to realize, wait a minute, YouTube doesn't really push my videos out that far, especially back then. So if that were to work, if that were to be a thing, they would have to all of a sudden start recommending my shit everywhere again, which is not what happened. So putting the fucking subscriber reminder at the beginning of the video wasn't going to make a difference, and also it wasn't something I wanted to specifically like really do either. Because for those that don't know, for as long as I've been running this channel, all the way back from 2013 to now, I was never for doing all of this extra shit to get my name out there. That was never for me. I wasn't the type to add, oh, click the bell at the beginning of the videos. I wasn't the type to go spam them in the comment sections or in Twitter or in Reddit or whatever. All I simply did was make the videos, and I just hoped that YouTube would recommend them to enough people. And in the earlier years, that didn't really happen. Not super often, anyway. But started happening later on. And that's really all I strive for. But because I got such a big boost at the end of 2020, carrying into 2021, I thought that it would make sense to try to push it further. And by doing so, I ended up making a lot of decisions that, in hindsight, I wouldn't have approved for both 2021 and 2022. If I was in my right state of mind, I wouldn't have set a 2K goal. If I wasn't blinded by what everyone else was doing, I would have never cut off Just Watch His videos. Because I still believed in what I was doing. But I figured the time would have been right because, oh, everyone else was leaving, so I might as well too, right? And although I'm glad I ended the Skywars series when I did, that's probably the one thing, and as well as did Methless the Final Chapter, I kind of regret not going through with the Sonic Battle Let's Play and just deciding that Kirby Superstar Ultra was going to be the last one. And it was just stuff like that that made me really realize that although I'm still enjoying the stuff I'm doing, it's not really the same as it once was. It doesn't really feel the same. Like 2022, don't get me wrong, was a good year. It was one of the best years probably in terms of content alone at the very least. But it still had its fair share of issues and struggles I was going through. Like at the beginning of the year, my viewership was like drastically down from where it was in 2021. So I had to accept that at the start of the year. I also had to accept the fact that YouTube was taking away my views from the streams when I would make them unlisted. So I had to make them public going forward. And that was a very tough decision for me to make because I never wanted the streams to overshadow the videos. So I had to do that. And then there was some stuff later on. Obviously I got burnt out towards the end of the year, and I officially decided that I was going to walk away from the 2 videos a week schedule completely. And it was by the end of that year that I couldn't foresee what was going to follow. After I got done with the end of the year stream for 2022, which lasts like 12 hours or something, but the VOD still says like, what, 10 because it didn't process correctly. I was completely out of it. And I decided by the end of that I wanted to take a break from making content, at least for a bit. Not for just no reason, but I had something in mind as well. I wanted to take this break so I could use that time to improve things for myself, whether it was physically or mentally or just everything around here, just fix things up so that going into 2023, I would be happier. The content would be coming out way more frequent. Well, the content was already coming out frequently in 2022, but I would be free from having to forcibly upload a video. I would just be able to do whatever I wanted. And that was kind of the idea, was take enough time off so I can better myself, so we can come back stronger than ever. And I didn't have the foresight to know this, but that's not what happened. I did all of that to try to better myself, because 2022, by the end of the year, I was a complete fucking wreck. I looked horrible, especially in those later videos. I looked like I didn't fucking shower in like months. So yeah. And a lot of that was like personal choices too, because I wanted to focus on getting as many videos as possible out before the year ended. And I succeeded in that goal, but it came at a price, of course. So at the start of 2023, I wanted to like not make the same choice again. So what ended up happening instead was I did a few things. I got my hair cut and got this clean, although it probably doesn't look that much different. Aside from that, there was really nothing else that improved. So essentially, I was away from making videos for like weeks. Well, nothing was getting better. It was just stagnant. And during that time, I also decided to make a decision, and I said this specifically on stream, that I wanted every video on the channel this year to be like 100% full uploads. Not like in the past, where I did stuff like shit posts or build UHC, more filler content. I wanted everything this year to be full-fledged uploads, and I wanted to kickstart everything by doing a long-awaited video that everyone has been wanting to see from me for years at this point. And that long-awaited video, if you're curious, is Luigi Channel 50 Survival Games Round 3, which is a video I originally recorded in 2019. I still had the files for that recording. I tried recording in 2020. It didn't work out. I tried recording in 2021. Still didn't work out. 2022, same deal. And so I figured it would be the perfect way to start off the year, because it's a video everyone's been wanting to see from me for a long time. And it would have been an absolute blast. But by making that choice of trying to make that the first video of the year, I completely doomed the schedule for all of January and a lot of February as well. So once that fell through, all I was left with was survival games highlights, which I did in February, not January, and Mario Flash, because Mario Flash was recorded in 2022, so I could just throw that out. And so for a while, the only thing you really had to look forward to was the Nostalgia Marathon, which, as you know, recently was canceled because viewership was down and interest was died out too. That, and I streamed fucking Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which sucked. So yeah, so that fell through. So when you put it like that, with the exception of a few videos, not counting the recent episode Inside the Mind, but aside from Mario Flash and the Broken cover, this year, and I guess the Jumpman album on his channel, this year has really just been nothing. Like, when you really think about it. There really hasn't been that much so far. which is weird because every other year, by the time we get past January and February, things start to spike up and get much better. But this time around, we're 5 months in and there's still like barely anything to look forward to. And I started realizing this all the way back in March. And from then to now, I was just trying to figure out why. Why aren't things getting better? Why aren't things the same? And I think I'm able to reach the conclusion as to why this is the case. And I think it's just simply the fact that making videos now doesn't really feel the same. Running this channel doesn't really feel the same either. I pushed so hard to try to morph it into something that's more approachable, more mainstream appealing than it used to be. You can see this in how the thumbnails look. You can see this in how I do the tags and how I do the descriptions. How I inserted that pre-video subscriber thing I talked about earlier. You can see by how I tried putting my stuff on Reddit temporarily, as well as expanding my Instagram. And because I put so much focus into that shit, a lot of the core reasons on why I made videos in the first place got lost in the process. When I started this channel, well, not when I've originally started, but when I started uploading on this channel again back in 2016, when I uploaded Sonic 2 Multiplayer Fail, I did it because I had the opportunity. I saw an opening after I fucking rooted my Hisense and it died, and I borrowed my sister's tablet until I was able to get a new one. Once I saw that it had the ability to like really record, I took that shot. I went for it. And a lot of the things that preceded that were all things that I went for, or just, yeah, and liked the results. Things wouldn't be the way they are now if I didn't just go for it. I didn't think about recording a survival games episode or let's play video. I just did it. However it turned out. And as a result, I was able to gain a massive catalog of like across all channels over 1,000 videos. Just by experimenting and doing what I loved to do. It didn't matter what it was. Sometimes it would be more serious stuff, like the plush movies, like Familiar World and whatnot. Sometimes it would be more lighthearted, like Godsmack Kingdom Fusion. And all of that combined just created this massive catalog, this massive legacy that wouldn't have happened if I didn't decide to take my shot when I did. If I never decided to record Sonic 2 Multiplayer Fail. If I never decided to do the Survival Game series. If I never decided to record Jump One's Attack and show it to my sister and get the approval to upload it. Things wouldn't be how they are now. And as I was on the road to 1,000 subscribers, I was so consumed by how well the channel was doing, how well it could do if I managed to push myself even further, that I didn't really take the time to realize just how far I've come. The fact that I was able to start with as just some fucking dude recording his Luigi plush at 4 a.m., asking people what game he should play, and then turn that into the LC50 network. 10 years is like a long time. The fact that I was able to do all of that is insane. And I wish I would have been able to look at that sooner. Because at the time, it just felt like, oh, I hit this, now time to go up. Oh, I did this, now time to go up. Instead of, wow, I really did it. But that's something that you can talk about in hindsight. Doesn't mean that you can go back in the past and fix it. I can't go back 5 months from now and decide to start uploading as soon as the stream is over. I can't go back and prevent myself from trying to morph this channel to be more views friendly. But what I can do is try to make things right. I noticed something was wrong when I would go in to record like a survival games episode, for instance, and I would only get like mixed to awful results. When I can't even record survival games properly, you know shit is wrong. It's clear that things really aren't in the best of state right now. I mean, obviously, just look at my channel schedule. I've only gotten 6 videos out. And while a lot of them are good, some of them great, 6 just isn't enough. It's not up to par with what I am used to doing. And because of that, it also contributes to me having a worse time on stream as well. Not having anything to do with you guys or me playing Smash or anything. It's just, I need that balance. I need to be able to do videos and streams at the same time, because when that balance isn't there, it's just not as fun. And what I've always appreciated about this channel and how I operate it is I always liked how I was able to take it seriously, but at the same time, put my own dumbass spin onto everything. I would be the guy that would have a numbered serious survival game series, a serious plush movie series, but also randomly decide to like mod Soul Earner from Godsmack into Mushroom Kingdom Fusion. My channel was like whatever the fuck I wanted it to be, but it was like organized as hell. And obviously I put effort into this stuff too. So it was like serious enough to where you could take it seriously, but not too serious to the point where it just feels like corporate and non-existent. Like I'm just making these videos like to just get views or whatever. And I think somewhere along the way that was lost. There was a point in time where I didn't care about views or viewership. I cared to a point, but not as much as I did after that. I'd fucking, literally, I'd do stuff like Godsmack Kingdom Fusion. I'd upload no commentary build UAC videos just because I wanted to. I didn't care how many views they would get. I didn't care if I'd lose subscribers from like doing a Sonic Dash episode. And it's because of that, the fact that I decided to dive headfirst into making my channel more algorithm friendly, that I started seeing no need for some of this other stuff. I didn't see a reason to continue with stuff like Sonic Dash. I lost subs from the one of the last episodes I did of that series, so I was like, screw it. It's over. I don't have a reason to continue now. I didn't see a reason to want to keep doing stuff like Build UHC. And I deluded myself into thinking I didn't even need Let's Plays anymore. One of the 3 major types of content on this channel in the early years, I tried to trick myself into believing that I didn't need it. And that I could just replace it with stream highlights, which is a video format that I either really like or really hate, depending on how those turn out. So as a result, things just didn't feel the same. It didn't feel like the LC50 of the good years. It felt like a shadow of its former self. And I think that's ultimately why things have turned out the way they did. Because I'm taking the time now, after all of these months, in some cases years, to sit back and realize that I don't want to be everyone else. I'm not everyone else. I can't upload daily videos on dime. I can't just do one type of content and then just leave it at that. I can't come up with ideas super quickly. And I'm not the most original. But what I am, however, is someone with a lot of determination, a lot of passion, and a lot of motivation. I care deeply about everything I do on this channel. Everything I've built. And all the people that have supported me along the way. I care deeply. And I don't want to turn this into something that it's not. Because in a lot of ways, the past 2 years have felt like it's been inching in that direction. Not quite as much last year, but the year before, absolutely. And it's just like, I don't want to do that. At the end of the day, I make videos for me and for others to watch. I never made videos to get popular. I wouldn't have done most of what I did if that was the case. I started this thing as an escape. It was something I wanted to do for a very long time. And when I saw the opportunity, I just went through it. And I think if there's any way that this is going to be continuing on, then it has to be brought back to where it all began. Because if not, then this might very well end up being the last major year for this channel. That doesn't mean that I won't be making any videos going forward, but that does mean that this might very well be the last big year for LUIGICHANNEL 50. I mean, it's a good run, right? 10 years. I went from, what, 0 subscribers to 1,000. Not everyone could say they've done that. I've done a lot of things that I never thought I would be able to do. So hypothetically, if this really was the end, it wouldn't be the worst legacy to go out on. But you know me, I'm not willing to give up easily like that. So I think going forward that it's time for me to rediscover what it is that made me want to make videos in the first place and return to that. Stop worrying about the view count. Stop worrying about the views. Stop worrying about what will work or what won't. Stop letting my anxiety control me. Stop letting my stomach pain control me. Stop getting influenced by what I see others do and what others tell me. Because the second I go back to looking at what I did before, I miss it. Every time. When I went back and watched those old reaction videos, particularly the 2019 ones, it's like SML and SMG4 especially, I missed it. And I missed it so bad that I decided that the decision I made to walk away from it wasn't the right one. And then I went back to it. And this may come as a shock, but the reaction videos, as of right now, are more enjoyable than the main channel videos, on average. Not everything. Not counting the plush videos, but on average. And the reason for that is I'm free. I'm allowed to do whatever I want with those. I'm not contained to any kind of thing. Any kind of schedule or anything. And I don't really like the fact that this is the truth, but I think I can learn something from it. And even going even further, like the Jumpmon album I did this year, for as ridiculous as that was probably the funnest thing I've done all year. Everything about that felt like I was in 2019 again, recording the first album. Just goofing around, doing the dumbest crap imaginable. And it's shown through those channels that hope is not lost. And it doesn't have to be. Luigi Channel 50, at the end of the day, is about authenticity. I take this as seriously as I can, yes. But I try to be as authentic as possible at the same time. And I think we need to strive for that going forward. No more forcing anything. No more forcing decisions. No more announcing things prematurely. No more making videos for the sake of, like, views or whatnot. No more trying to cater my channel to an algorithm of people that probably aren't going to watch in the first place. As we approach the upcoming 10-year anniversary, I want to make this channel mine again. I want to start doing the stuff that I used to do. I want to do the Sonic Battle Let's Play finally. I want to keep doing the shit posts. Stuff like Godsmack Kingdom Fusion and fucking Jumpmon talks to himself. I want to do stuff like, I want to do the Build UHC videos and other types of videos as well. I want to do survival games. Plush videos. I want to do song covers and everything in between. I want to do what I want to do. Not what the algorithm wants. Not what everyone else thinks I should do. It was great getting all of that viewership in 2020 and 2021. It was really insane, genuinely. But that was years ago now. It's time for me to step up and take control of this thing again. Because the last thing I want is to find myself in a position where, similar to someone like Puddle of Pizza, where I can no longer continue and end off just before things really began. It's stuff like that that makes me think that it is more than possible for me to fall into that type of trap. And I want to avoid that. So, for those of you that are still listening, I just want to say thanks. And I hope you're able to understand where I'm coming from and why things have been the way they are as of late, or even longer than that, if you will. Why going from late 2021 onwards, the vibe just hasn't really been the same, for the most part. There's probably other details I can mention as well, but I don't think that stuff is really warranted. If you're worried about me, like, potentially, like, quitting for good, I don't think you should really think about that, because if you recall, all the way back in early 2020, just after my cat Menace disappeared, and I was going through a bunch of changes all at once, a lot of mental stress was hitting me all at the same time. And I thought it got to a point where I just had to give up and end it all. Until I got the idea to do a Final Masquerade cover. And by doing that, I was able to recover and be a part of what was easily like the best era of this channel. I went from rock bottom all the way up here. And while this isn't nearly as serious as that was, that just goes to show, if I was able to escape the thoughts of death in order to keep this thing going, then I'll be able to get out of this too. But I need your guys' support here, because it's probably going to take a bit before things finally stabilize to where they were before. But if I want this video to be anything, it's to be the starting point of when that happens. If you have any additional questions, I guess you can feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And any other information, any other personal details I reveal are only going to be on my private Instagram and maybe my private Twitter. Although that account is kind of, yeah. I don't want to drag this on any longer. This video is already getting pretty long as it is. So I just want to end this by saying thank you all for supporting me over these years. I greatly appreciate it, sincerely. I couldn't have gotten this far without your support. And I want to strive to make this. I want to strive to give you guys the best content I possibly can and get out of this rut so we can celebrate 10 years of this channel and beyond. So, I guess with that, thank you guys for watching and hearing me out. It is much appreciated, and I will see you in whatever the next video is. Hopefully, going from here, things will get better. There's only one way to find out. So, until then, goodbye, Luigi fans, and here's to the beginning of a new chapter.